Hi there. Welcome to my first ever video, which I'm going to release on YouTube, and pretty excited about that. So thank you for tuning in, and I don't want to hold you back too long with the intro. Um, so a couple of days ago, I decided to build an MVP in just one day. Um, which I basically choose a tech stack I wanted to use for a long time on a personal side project, um, buy the appropriate domain for it, and publish the whole application. So the purpose of this video is to just share my experience and learnings, and I guess it will be a couple of videos to get into all kind of related topics. But just for the start, I wanted to stay simple and just show you what I did in one day, which was kind of like a couple of hours of really working, and wasting a couple of hours for some design related stuff I'm not really good at. um, so yeah, really happy that you're listening, and I will just start right away. So this is actually the current live version of the MVP. You can see it's live on this domain called mywhat.xyz. It's a small web application where you can choose some watts. So what means is the workout of the day. Just a really quick background. So like I do CrossFit, and I kind of do also like to attend the open gym classes and then come up with custom workouts. And yeah, at some point I decided just to collect them and thought it could be a nice idea to uh, publish them somewhere and then play around with it. So I also have a couple of ideas which I'm going to put into this application, but for the start we just keep it simple, and I just want to share my experience how I put all this together, and what I use for that. Yeah, so the part one basically was my decision for the tech stack. I decided to use Laravel in combination with Vue.js, and added Tailwind for all the front-end related stuff, because I'm not really that uh, front-end agnostic. So and I read and I also kind of use Tailwind in former projects, and I really like the concept behind it, especially all the supported tooling and like the supported tooling, and you kind of get, if you work with it, how much thoughts are put into this, so that you can like work in a really smooth way with the whole framework. So I just want to show you my setup. So as I said, it's just a small Laravel application. So for Laravel itself, I didn't do anything specific. So did I did set up it with the Laravel commands, and as you can see, it's still here. The application name was the older one here, but nevertheless, so I did just set it up with the global composer package, which you can find on the official documentation of Laravel website itself. Didn't do much anything there, except I did just some pretty basic cleanup. What I mean by that is, for example, I just deleted, for example, the auth routes from the web.php in the routes directory. I can show you that quickly by the file history. As you can see, for the initial commit, there was this line which basically generates all the login and register routes, so you don't have to take care of them. I deleted them for the start because I don't need them. There's no place for them in the MVP. Yeah, so just did some basic cleanup, and then I basically, yeah, before I forget it, I also did the cleanup also in the markup. So like all in the blade templates, I structured them a bit differently, but basically you will don't find any login or register routes in here. Yeah. Then that was basically part one, where I just did the basic setup with Laravel. Of course, did all the database setup, did a local vhost entry. I'm using Valet for that actually, so I just used the Valet link command and the Valet secure command, so I have also local SSL connection. And then I started actually doing the actual work for the MVP. I started by creating the first migration file so that I have a database table which can hold in my data. For that I just used the PHP artisan make command. You can also see I played around a bit, but the most simple one is basically create the migration. You can see my command still here in my history, which just creates the migration file. I just then added the needed columns to it. Yeah, if we have a look at this in a database, we can do that quickly. I'm going to use table plus here. So the initial name of the application was WhatUp, so I changed that. But so that you just see, I also added some data here already. You can see here the columns I created in the migration file, and if I run the PHP migration refresh, which I'm doing now, you can see it rolls back all the tables which are there, and then it will seed, create the tables, and then seed the data which is registered in the database seeder. Speaking of that, so that was basically the second step I did. After creating the migration file, I created a table seeder, so I have some initial data. Because I don't have any view or any form where I can put data in, I just decided to use the seeder instead of typing all this data manually into the database. This is basically all the workouts you see here in the seeder. So it's just a comfortable way of getting some initial data in it. Of course, the long-term goal would be to have some kind of administration, probably, which I can maintain this data. After creating basically the database, so I have a place where I can hold my data, I created a controller and a small model, which is really basic stuff, so I'm not going into much detail into Laravel stuff. I'm not really an expert, I'm just familiar with some concepts, but I really also like to get into more detail in probably future videos, but then in more specific ways. So let's go back to my API endpoint, which is basically here in the HTTP controllers folder. I created this WHAT controller, and I have actually a WHAT model. Doesn't really look exciting at all because there's no business logic at all at the moment, so I don't have to whitelist any properties which can be auto-filled in or whatsoever. That's why it's pretty basic setup, but it does all the job I need to for the MVP. So I created this controller which returns just all words which are in the database and shuffles them, so I get a random order. And if we look into the routes API controller or file, you can see that I have a registered route called whats, which exactly maps to that controller's index function, which is basically this one, and then I will get returned all afterwards. What I also tried during this MVP was Tinkerbell. I don't know if you heard already of this really amazing tool. I am also new to that tool. I just know it's from Marcel Pocchio. I hope I pronounced that right. He's the creator of that. You can find him on Twitter, and then yeah, it's basically this guy here. He created that one, which you can connect to your Laravel application and run all kind of PHP commands or Laravel known commands. As you can see here, I'm doing a query, and on the right side you can see immediately the output of that one, which is pretty nice. Yeah, so I created the API endpoint because I'm using Vue. I thought like I could use REST endpoint so that I can get my data. Also here, pretty basic setup for Vue. So after the created lifecycle, I'm just loading all the what's available from the backend and filling in the property, which is then basically here rendered in a for loop. On the next side, I actually also added a small filter function, which I can show you later. But that's pretty basically the Vue part of this whole MVP. So I have one crucial or one essential Vue component, which is this one, which is just responsible for showing the workout itself. And you can see here I just have actually the content of it, the kind of workout, and I just played around with some front-end stuff and Tailwind, and that was basically it for the Vue part. We can actually check that. If you go to /API/what's, you will get all the workouts, is all the columns. I'm not filtering the columns at the moment, so you will get all data which is available also in the database. So you will also get the update ad, the created ad, and the published ad date times, for example. Yeah, last but not least thing was, as I mentioned, I used Tailwind for this MVP, and it was pretty straightforward. There's a package on GitHub called Laravel Tailwind preset, which just helps you up setting up Tailwind into your Laravel project pretty quickly and easily. I've done that, and you just publish the vendors, and it was like really no biggie. I will add all the links to the packages to the description of this video, so make sure to check that out. Because I basically did all the introduction and all like the setup commands from there, so I'm not going to show you that one. But after doing that, because we have a Laravel mix setup, as you can see here, we have the Tailwind in here, including the Tailwind config, which I actually extended a bit with some customized colors. It works pretty neat. Yeah, and basically that was like creating the MVP on my local machine, right? So this is, as you can see, .test is on my local machine. After doing this, I was more or less done, so I was pretty happy. And then of course the next thing would be to publish this one. What I did there, I'm hosting on DigitalOcean, so I have an account here, and I used Run Cloud. I just heard this one from a colleague of mine. Just want to try it out, so that's why I decided for this one. Other choices would be, for example, Forge, which is in the Laravel ecosystem already, and it's pretty nice actually. We are using it at our company, but I just wanted to give Run Cloud a go and decided to use it. And as you can see here, here's the DigitalOcean server showing up, and if you go in here, you can see all the needed data and stats, which I'm currently using. It's kind of nice, so it was pretty easy to set it up, to connect it to DigitalOcean, so I'm pretty happy with it. If you like it, just give it a go. I think they have a free trial. Yeah. As you can see, here's my application running on PHP 7.4, and as you can see, it's connected to my GitHub account, and I'm also doing Git webhook, so if I do a new Git push to my master branch, it will deploy. And as you can see also here in the beginning, I had some 1-2 beginner mistakes, which I resolved then. Yeah, and that's more or less it. Here you can also see my migration, my deployment script actually. So it's nothing too fancy, just using Composer install with some optimized flags, doing my seeding and forcing the migrations from the beginning, clearing some caches and stuff like that. So which is pretty basic stuff for a Laravel application deployment. And of course, don't forget the front-end part, especially for building Tailwind resources. It just came into my mind, maybe you run into troubles also with that if you use Tailwind, and if you have the Laravel mix setup, you will find here the purge CSS option, which basically removes unused CSS, which is a bit problematic without any further customization or adaptation of the configuration, because it will remove some needed or most of the needed classes which you need for styling with Tailwind. So if you just delete that part, the whole thing is resolved. I looked it up pretty quick, just on a quick research. You can adapt the options for purge CSS to use some prefixes or something similar, to also still use purge CSS and avoid that conflict. For me, for the MVP, this was a quick option, so I went with this one. Yeah, so thanks for watching my video. That was basically building an MVP in one day, from choosing the tech stack, doing the setup, what I did in the beginning, buying the domain and releasing it via a service. And I hope you liked it. I probably will create some more detailed videos. This one is my first ever video, so don't be harsh on me, too harsh on me, sorry. And also sorry for my English, not a native English speaker, but I hope you still enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, please just comment. I'm happy to answer them. And if you did something similar, also just let me know. I would love to see how you did it and what you did. So thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.